Welcome to abombtozzzax. With me, Colin Holt. And my friends Dan Snellgrove,
Nick Kirk,
and Jamie Firth. Here they come!
Hello, dear friends, dear listeners. Thank you for joining us for this epic episode of abombtozzzax, my favourite Marvel character. I'm Colin Holt. Joining me is the delightful Nick Crick. Coming up soon is the Fantastic Four movie, Fantastic Four First Steps. Not sure about that title. We'll get into it in a minute. And we thought, why not start with the big man himself, Big Daddy G? It's Galactus, the villain of the movie. So we wanna really get into this big guy and his beautiful, shining best friend, boyfriend. I don't know. I've got theories that I want to espouse. There's a connection beyond normal love, I think, going on there. It's Mr. Norimrad, the Silver Surfer, and joining me for this epic, a man. He appears normal. He looks just like anyone else as he's striding around the corridors of his sixth form college where he works. But he is, in fact, possibly, and I don't mean this flippantly, the most epic man I've met in my life. Please welcome David Edwards. Say hello, David.
Thank you, sir. That's quite a grand description.
It's
sort
a
of
grand
envisioning
description,
myself marching around corridors like a sort of Darth Vader figure type of thing.
Well, I see you more as the Silver Surfer. I think you've got the Norimrad about you. You've still got your lovely hair. You're not sort of like Norin and all his pals, but you are. You've got the. I think you've got the Doug Jones shape. You know, the guy who played him in the movie from whenever it was.
From the Del Toro films, and I'm going for an existential crisis. I've always got this ongoing monologue in my head, questioning morals and guilt, and watching human beings from afar, and
never quite understanding them, never ever really being one of them.
Absolutely, the top of buildings, looking down on them, just scratching my silver head, wondering what they're all about, holding my surfboards at the same time.
Have you ever described other humans as ants?
No, I haven't, but I could consider it now. I think I have without even thinking of it, really. Do you know, you sort of think, do you look at humans as ants? I haven't really thought about it, but maybe I do, which isn't good. It's not good, it's not something you want to bring up during a date or something, is it? Do you know what I mean? Or something like that
I mean, certainly not the first thing you say, like, hi, nice to meet you, I'm Dave Edwards. Should we get a drink? Great. By the way, I tend to think of other humans as ants.
Absolutely. Pushing the insects aside to get to the bar. And to buy
that's a date poo conversation, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one to avoid.
Do you also think of other humans as ants?
I try to avoid it. Do you know what I mean? Simple as that. That sociopathic view on life, you've got to avoid. We're not. If human beings are ants, I'm also an ant. Simple as that. That's where you've got to put things into perspective.
Well, I mean, what's better? Is it better to see them as ants and you as the Silver Surfer, or do you see everyone? Better than seeing everyone else as a Silver Surfer and you're an ant, right?
So it depends what side of the bedroom you roll out of, isn't it? Sometimes I roll out of the bed and I just feel like an ant. Other times I feel like a Silver Surfer. Do you know what I mean? It's simple as that.
Have either of you ever surfed?
I did try and didn't go anywhere with it. Absolute disaster.
Cornwall?
Does the internet count?
Very true.
Well,
I regularly surf in that sense without even knowing it. I'm surfing now, for crying out loud.
You are. You're surfing.
Yeah, goodness me.
In the living room with the power cosmic.
Yeah, it's quite right.
Is the Silver Surfer now actually is a phrase, isn't it? Meaning an old man on the internet.
Yeah, effectively. It's teaching old people to use the internet, basically, Silver Surfers.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's interesting. I never even thought of that. That's very, very true. Yeah, absolutely.
Your ass for using that phrase.
Rightly so. Goodness me. So.
Okay, well, I'm very excited about this episode. Have you seen the trailer, Dave? First of all, for Fantastic Four First Steps.
I have, and I mean, I like the whole retro 50s look. That grabbed me because I'm definitely one of these people that was suffering from Marvel fatigue. I was just like, oh God, we're just saturated by too much Marvel stuff. I haven't always been the biggest Marvel fan. Stan Lee's always fascinated me in a big way. It's got to be said. But having read the comics you've given me to read the homework, it's definitely infused me with a lot of enthusiasm for this new film.
Really?
And Silver Surfer, I didn't really know that much about. And he's almost got like a Swamp Thing vibe to him. I didn't realize he was so existential. There was a philosophical element about him.
Yeah.
You know, wandering.
Jesus-like savior element, isn't there?
Yeah, he's almost got a goth vibe about him, which is ironic considering he's completely white, hasn't got the black element. But, you know, wandering around, lots of kind of introspection, and yeah, you could tell Stan Lee was going into a new direction with this, in the sense of these aren't just villains that are just sort of moustache twirling villains. There's a philosophical element to it. They're more kind of like anti-heroes, aren't they? Which is adding like a new dimension.
Yeah, it's a new dimension where the villains aren't just out to beat the heroes. They are, well, in Galactus's
yes,
he has to feed. He's like the lion with the antelope.
It's nature, isn't it? Sort of don't question nature. He's got to.
I feel that stretched quite thin, the idea that he's a natural being. But let's get into that in a minute. Firstly, before we crack on, some sad news. I did find out just this morning, thanks to our Patreon, Pablo, Peter David has died. David, you probably don't know about this man, but he is. I mentioned it because we mentioned him last week. He's certainly one of my favorite comic book creators.
Oh, right.
He was 68. He died of, I mean, we were talking about this last week because there's a lot of these comic creators. I mean, you talk about Stan Lee, Dave, but, you know, really the creator of a lot of that stuff, particularly Fantastic Four, was Jack Kirby. And Stan would just kind of fill in the words. Do you know what I mean? Not that.
Well, I was thinking
wasn't good at that, but
I was thinking that a lot
really,
with the Marvel method, which doesn't make sense, does it? It's like Stanley would just write a general synopsis, then Jack Kirby would do all. And as I was looking at the artwork, I was thinking, well, he's the one who structured it all out, and then afterwards, Stanley would just do the exposition with the dialogue, and it led to random.
Huge. It's a weird one because it led to huge fallings out between them. And,
yeah, imagine.
But at the same time, weirdly, Jack, even though his stuff after Stan is incredible in a mad way, it's probably not as good, or certainly not as.
Oh, interesting.
Do you know what I mean? I think he did need that rudder on some level. Someone, you know, but really, Stan was the hype man. You know, he was the PR guy who knew how to sell this stuff, whereas Jack was the true artist. But anyway. That to one side. Yeah, Peter David was a real writer's writer. Apparently he started off like in the post room or something, and then no, he wasn't in the post room. He was like a lawyer, I think, not in the post room at all. But he was like worked at Marvel in a more executive capacity, but loved it. And someone just gave him a chance to write some Spider-Man or something, and he was just really good at it. And then he went on to do the Hulk. He did the seminal run on the Hulk, you know, where the Hulk turned grey for a bit, and then he became clever at one point, became the Professor Hulk. And also he did an amazing run on X Factor, which is still one of my favorite. When I think about comics giving me a kind of place of sanctuary and calm and humor and I can escape the world, I always think of X Factor for some reason, that Peter David did. So thank you, Peter David, for that. You know, I mentioned it because sadly living in America, you know, he was very ill, and he was refused Medicaid. I guess he probably fell between the bottom and the middle. So, and he literally couldn't afford treatment and died.
Really? Simple as that?
Yeah.
It's happened to a number of comics creators recently, in that they just, because for a lot of the stuff they worked on, particularly in the 70s and 80s, they didn't get creator credit for it. They don't have those kind of rights, so they don't get royalties in that sense. So they're really, some of them are really struggling, and some of them have had health issues and had to rely on sort of crowdfunding and the goodwill of other people, because that's the way the American medical system works.
Yes, and also last time I mentioned about what's it called, Heroes Initiative, which is a charity that helps the creators in these situations. And I think last time I listened back to it, I think I maybe sounded like I was dismissing that as an idea, because I said there's lots of other things, but I guess what I meant was there's so many horrendous things happening in the world, isn't there? That like any charity you suggest feels like, oh, but also you could probably help all these other people. But yes, Heroes Initiative, and thank you, Peter David. There we go. So back to the fun. So Galactus and the Silver Surfer. Nick, do you want to hit us with some stats before we get into those beautiful pieces of art?
Yep. I've got some stats for the big man Galactus himself. So created by, as we said, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. First appearance, Fantastic Four 48, back in 1965. Real name, Galan or Galan, not sure how you pronounce that.
Interesting.
Height.
Poor idea, that isn't it? Very.
Yeah. Height, 28'9" or
Whoa.
variable.
And variable. He can get bigger and smaller.
I was going to talk about this when we get into it, because I've never really worked out how big Galactus is. It seems to vary depending on who's drawing him and what they feel like.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's about twice the height of people, and sometimes he towers over a world.
I mean, technically, he doesn't even really like God or goddess, if you believe in such a thing. He appears to you as what you think he should look like.
Yeah. I guess he can flex himself depending on the situation.
No, but there's a comic where literally different alien races see him as a different thing. So,
that's interesting.
Like literally whatever you see is just the devourer that's come to destroy.
So literally like a god that you project onto him type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. They had a similar, I'm going to go proper nerdy here. They had a similar concept in Babylon 5. They had an alien race called the Vorlons, who no one had ever seen. And there's an episode where they reveal themselves, apparently, and every race sees them as looking like a religious angel type figure from their race. And that's because they imprinted on various worlds throughout their history to make them see them as these beneficent godlike figures. They actually just look like giant squids when you see them. But
okay,
I actually do remember that episode. I forgot all about Babylon 5. God, that was like Channel 490s, wasn't it? Yeah, I've forgotten about that.
I don't know why Galactus looks like something different all the time, because there's this element. I mean, I guess if we get into his origins in a minute, but the idea is, so basically there was one issue that I didn't give you, but because we've already talked about it in another episode, is where Reed Richards is on trial for saving Galactus's life. And it's got, excuse me, I'm a little burp there, but it's the epic nature of this podcast.
I know, it's playing with your digestive system.
Oh, it's all going. It's absolute. There's a power cosmic raging in my belly right now.
Oh, that's the power of IP. It really is.
What, intellectual property?
Yeah, absolutely. Playing with your.
I think it might be more the power of irritable bowel syndrome.
I think so, probably.
What are we talking about? Oh yeah. So anyway, there's a one page where all the different alien races are looking at Galactus, and they're all seeing something completely different. It's quite funny because there's like loads of boxes, and some are seeing like a big monster, and some are like a sort of ray of light, and there's a couple where he's clearly just done a squiggle because like he sort of can't be bothered. Like, oh god, I got to do 50 of these. But anyway, it's So we also, but that makes me think. So who's doing that? Why is he appearing as something different? It's just naturally. And then my big question is, if in that case, the way he looks, as in a giant man. Soon to look like a giant Ralph Ineson from Finchy from The Office. Is that how the Fantastic Four see him, or is that just how Jack Kirby sees him? That's my question.
Oh my god, that's very meta,
the reader,
isn't it?
never seen the real Galactus. I mean, it's
we've just seen it through the author's eyes, type of thing. Yeah, you're quite right.
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, it's going to be bizarre having Finchy as Galactus, isn't it? And you can tell it's him.
Do you think he'll still be like, I hunger?
I think it will be like that.
I am devourer of worlds.
I think it will be that same gravelly voice, definitely. You can really tell it's him, the bottom of the chin and everything. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely Finchy. It feels like it's a comic relief, when they all dressed up as different characters in the office.
It does a bit.
It almost feels a bit like that, like someone else is Ali G. He's a Marvel character.
Or like talking of DVD covers, when they do like Modern Family, but they're like recreating The Last Supper or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean?
All
got that
the
vibe.
Office characters as well. Who would they? Should we do? I mean, Dave, one of the things we like to do on this podcast is relate a sitcom to the Marvel characters. For example, we did the Daredevil characters as Last of the Summer Wine characters.
Oh my lord!
Maybe The Office, considering we've got Finchy as Galactus, we can work down from there. But we'll do that in a minute, shall we? So Galactus. So have you given us all the stats there, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the key stuff. I've got a little bit on his origins if we want to go into.
Yeah, go for it, buddy.
So he is from a previous universe to this one.
Right.
From the planet Tar.
Yeah, the planet Tar.
In that one issue, it kept saying Tar, the majesty of blah blah blah. Tar, da 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 da. Yeah,
it just sounds like someone shouting. Thanks very much. He's from the planet Tar.
Tar.
To
Thank
the
you
English
very much.
ears.
Tar Ducky.
He came from Tar.
Yes,
and in a previous universe. So that universe is gone, and that died the sort of heat death of the universe, right? As in, it will happen to us.
So frightening stuff. It's on its way.
I mean, I hate to drop this on you, but there's every chance we won't be there.
What?
For the heat death of the universe.
I wasn't expecting that.
Do you get a bit of a
with this IBS? I do.
Yes. I mean, will they say 20 years time this is happening? Does it slowly happen? Does life on Earth just slowly die?
Well, in that comic, they are kind of discussing it, aren't they? Of like. They're sort of saying to each other, this is it. Everything's going. It's all shutting down, and we're the last ones. It's quite a sort of like closing the bar feel to it, almost. All the customers have gone. It's quite Alan Moore level philosophy. Last orders, yeah.
Flipping heck.
And what? Yeah, so he's just a normal.
Of Cheers feel to it.
Yes, I'll turn off the lights. Off we go.
He's Gallon is their top scientist. It's got a bit of a Jor-El Superman feel to it, actually.
Yeah, it's him and basically about 4 or 5 others are the only survivors, and they sort of set out to try and see if they can find a way to keep life going. And he's the only one that survives the collapse of the core of this universe, and he's greeted by the sentience of the universe, who
the old universe.
Who imbues him with the power to be a devourer in the next universe, which seems a bit mean, if you ask me, to be honest. Yeah, I'll put you into the next universe, but you have to eat it all.
You can be guardian, you can be like the midwife of the new universe. He's saying you're basically going to incubate in this big box for 1 billion years, and then you're going to come out and start eating everybody.
Yeah.
It's mad stuff, isn't it? It makes you think, did Stan Lee come up with that, or was that Jack Kirby? Because it really is just quite intense stuff, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Feels more like Kirby. I think Kirby does a lot of the. I feel like Jack Kirby comes up with a lot of the more mad, multi-universal concepts, because that's the sort of stuff he does later when he leaves Marvel as well. So
yeah, he's quite obsessed with the idea of like aliens created the pyramids, and aliens messed with our DNA and created humans.
So when he left Marvel, where did he go on to then? So he did work for Marvel.
He went to DC and created the Fourth World comics, which was Darkseid and all those kind of characters, as well as characters like the Demon. Some really weird, mad characters like
Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur.
Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah, which
Commandy,
is
the last boy on Earth. OMAC, which is this thing called One Man Army Corps. It's all very high.
Talking about stuff. Looking at the world through a pair of eyes that are slightly different. Human, do you know what I mean? I feel like Jack really was a mutant on some level. He was like, and also what's cool is he was in the war. He was I think quite a celebrated on the battlefront.
Wow.
Guy, he wasn't some sort of poet locked in his garret or anything. He was.
So Stan Lee would almost keep him reined in a way and keep him mainstream instead of going completely gonzo type of thing. Because it almost sounds like he goes Philip K. Dick on his own. Do you know what I mean? He goes completely.
I think that's exactly what would happen. But I guess Stan's trying to. Well, we need some of this because this is obviously incredible. But I guess Stan is providing the more like just jokey fun between the Fantastic Four to keep it kind of grounded, and they're a family, and they're. The Thing is obviously a very lovable, funny character, and Johnny Storm's a teenager and all that stuff. And then Jack can do his more baroque ideas.
Yeah, I think Stan's more the kind of day-to-day street life elements of the Marvel comics. Whereas
you definitely get that with Fantastic Four, don't you? Like in between fighting out in the streets, you then have them all like you see like Reed like shaving and stuff like that, and then you see Ben behind him, the Thing, in a bath. They're all like bathing in between battles and stuff, and then you got Sue Storm.
I really like that bit where Galactus is coming, and it's like there's this weirdly, it shouldn't work, but to explain the story, the Watcher. So first of all, you have this fire in the sky, which panics everyone. And I tell you what, Jack is so good at displaying panic, at displaying a city, even though there's a scene with just like 8 people in it. But you get from that one panel, you sort of go, everyone is just freaking out, like the whole city's in flames and looting and madness, but they're all still kind of 1950s type, wearing hats, and do you know what I mean? So they're all
running around with the doors still on. Yeah, definitely, absolutely, yeah.
But then the Watcher appears, the Watcher, the big baby man.
Yeah,
his task is just to watch and chronicle everything that's going on. He's not allowed to interfere, but as we know, he constantly interferes, of course. But supposedly he shouldn't interfere. But he appears and says, that was me. I just wanted to warn you. Oh, no, he's trying to hide Earth, wasn't he? By covering it in
yes, he was.
fire. And then he covers it in rocks, which is a really cool idea.
Oh, it's a great idea. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And the Silver Surfer, but the Silver Surfer's coming. He's found it. And it does have that predator-prey feeling. Oh, no, he's zeroed in on you. You're not getting away from this. Do you know what I mean? He knows where we are now.
Yeah, and just to explain for people who don't know, the Silver Surfer is a herald of Galactus. So Galactus has a herald that goes and searches out planets for him to devour to feed his hunger, and that's why the Silver Surfer is targeting Earth.
It has to be a certain type of planet. It's a G type sun, is it, that it has to go around?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know if that's real science or made up. It sounds real.
It feels real.
And it's a cool idea that you think the Silver Surfer is your problem, but you still got Galactus coming on his way.
Very
I mean,
nice.
That's great, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Also, it's really well structured, a lot of it. Do you know what I mean? Like when Johnny Storm, is it? He's sent off, isn't he, to get the small little mechanical device that obviously Galactus is scared off by. And then, the things, Ben's fighting. The whole plot element's really well. There's like 3 things happening at the same time. And you just think to yourself, to what degree was Stan Lee involved in that? Do you know what I mean? When I was reading it, I was more impressed by Kirby's kind of involvement than anything else, because it's really well plotted. You can see really good plot structure.
As his epic, as was their
it's
epic,
impressive.
it's their kind of masterpiece in a way. Although weirdly, issue-wise, it's quite bizarre because halfway through the last issue 50 maybe, they beat Galactus and he leaves. And then there's like 10 more pages of just Johnny Storm going to college. Which
I know, I saw that, yes.
Because on the front it says, it's got like, is this the end of the world or something, And then it just says in the corner, meanwhile, Johnny Storm goes to college. Well, probably it's not the end of the world then, is it? But what I was going to say earlier, what I did like about that moment where they're having a bath and having a shave and stuff, it's just the mundane idea that this thing has come that we cannot beat. And it's just we're all dead. It's over.
Yeah, so we might as well look our best if we're going to die.
Well, but it's just like, there was a brilliant, you ever read Ray Bradbury?
Yes, actually Fahrenheit 451, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a book of short stories called The Illustrated Man.
Oh, yes.
They made a movie of them. Weirdly, they changed this story, but there was a story where just everyone knows it's the end of the world. And I can't remember, I don't know if there's even a reason. They just all know. And they all just go to bed like doing normal things and turn off the lights, knowing that's the end. It's really, really bizarre. They changed it in the movie where the dad, it's like a family, but in the movie, the dad, I think, poisons everyone so that they don't have to experience the end of the world, and then wakes up and it turns out it hasn't ended and he's killed them all, sort of thing.
That's like Romeo and Juliet vibe.
Yeah,
that is like The Mist. Yeah, White Lotus season 3, wasn't it? Yeah, it's quite similar to that.
Yeah, it is actually, isn't it? But I like that moment where they're all, because Reed locks himself in the room to try and work out a plan, doesn't he? And the others have just got to wait and just hope it's all right.
And Sue Storm's very much like gets annoyed all the time he's in his lab. Because there's one bit where she's like saying, it's time for dinner, come out for dinner. And then she finally goes in and then she finds the Watcher in there with Reed. And I don't think she realised the Watcher was there.
Hang on, who are you?
Yeah, absolutely, a massive head.
Oh, he's the baby man again. Oh,
I know.
No.
That's why he's not here for his pork chops. He's got the Watcher in there with him.
Has the baby man been in it before? I think he has, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He has been in before
a couple of times by this point.
Yes, but this is where he really comes into his own.
Which comic do you think the film's going to be influenced by then? Is it that? Is that what they're using for the comic? This particular one, or?
I assume so. I think it's a mix of. Well, because I know that the MCU is leading to Secret Wars,
Right? Yes, of course.
Which is where they're going. Everyone assumes where they're going to mix all the different worlds, which is what happened in the comics. So they're going to sort of go this X-Men world, Fantastic Four world, Marvel world, and put them together, kind of thing. Is ultimately what's going to happen, I think. So I think it's going to be a mixture of that and the original, but it seems pretty close to the original. I mean, I love that images of seeing the big foot walking through.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
What I'm not sure about the trailer, and we'll find out if it works or not, but is they've really gone for more of like a WandaVision kind of 1950s, almost like I Dream of Jeannie type feel.
Oh, that's definitely the whole unique selling point of it. It's very retro. Yeah, they're trying to go for a different look.
I had the idea years ago of doing the Fantastic Four, but in the 60s, because I was like, it can only really work in the 60s because it's too kind of silly now.
Yeah.
But I thought more I think the psychedelic 60s, whereas they've gone for more of the kind of
Jetson almost.
Hairspray, the musical. It's gone a bit.
Yes. Jetsons.
Jetsons,
Jetsons vibe. Herbie's got a Jetsons feel to him in there.
Yes. But I'm sure it'd be great. It looks like a lot of, like say, a breath of fresh air. Anyway, focusing on Mr. Galactus, because obviously the point of this podcast, Dave, I didn't tell you, is we're rating all the characters. We're putting them in a big list.
Here we go. Blimey.
Yeah. So what else did we think about Galactus? Did you manage to see his origins, Dave? Him coming from the previous universe. Did you have a look at that one?
I got just a few little expositional flashbacks from what I heard. And as Nick was saying, the idea that, he was part of one universe that had come to an end, and the idea whereby he had led into this now reality as instead of just being a mortal person, he's now been given the role. It's almost like because he experienced the big bang of another universe, now he's going to be a planet sucker, if you like. He's the one who now wanders around sucking the energy of others. But Silver Surfer, did you mean him as well, or just Galactus? We talk about, which origins?
Well, I guess we can talk about them both. Well, focusing on Galactus for a sec, what do we think? I mean, just the look of him. What do you think, Dave, as someone who? Because I find it hard to. I sort of appreciate them. I love the historical feel of those comics because they're so very in the 60s and they're so Jack Kirby, but it's also ridiculous and hard to take seriously, right?
Oh yeah, gotcha. I think Silver Surfer is very cool. Do you know what I mean? And you can tell that he's part of the 60s. It feels like the 60s, the Beach Boys, bizarrely, wandering around his surfboard type of thing. But
even the idea that he's called the Silver Surfer as well is like, do we have surfers on other planets then? I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't, I suppose.
No,
there's a great moment where when Galactus creates him and he says, I've given you the perfect vehicle, a surfboard.
Yeah, God, it's almost like this product placement or something, isn't it? It is quite surreal, quite bizarre. Because
have surfboards always been around? Are they like?
Yeah, I don't know where the surfboard came from. I don't think the Romans were on them or anything. I don't know who even came up with it. You're quite right. I mean,
like
a
South Sea Islands type thing, like a.
I think so.
I mean, this might literally be something I saw in like Moana or something, but isn't it like a sort of?
Yeah, I guess. It must be some kind of tribal thing. Yeah, near the sea type of vibe. I'm not entirely sure. But Stan Lee was like, he didn't even come up with it, did he? Jack Kirby just like drew the character.
Yeah, I think he came with it all. But that's a classic example of like Jack being a bit like brilliant, but kind of crass in a way, like not crass, but kind of, well, just the idea of going, it's an alien surfer on a surfboard flying through space who's silver. Like someone would like it works and we love it, and it's now history. But it's like if when you're coming up with ideas for sitcoms or whatever or movies or whatever, if you saw that you go no.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, you just definitely. No, that doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Don't even question it. He's actually
it's like his brain, Jack's brain is missing certain connections that other people would see as naff.
Yeah,
but he makes it work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what would an example be like of that now? It'd be someone going on, I don't know, one of those an electric scooter or something, wouldn't it? It'd be like, if you took like some kind of really naff vehicle of now. I know
people go around
a mobility
Benidorm.
scooter or something like that.
I did a bit on Benidorm, and you know Benidorm in Spain.
Oh yes, yeah.
The holiday desk, and there's a sitcom obviously based in Benidorm called Benidorm, and I did a week on it or something. I mean, one of the episodes. And when you get there, I'd never been before, and people get there and hire mobility scooters. People who can walk perfectly fine.
Oh my God, just for the hell of it.
Yeah, just to like go around.
Golf buggy, yeah, why not?
Probably people who are generally a bit lazy and, without sounding mean, but probably quite overweight and unhealthy.
Well, they're on holiday, I suppose.
But it's like, well, yeah, why should I walk?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I completely understand. You've got a nice basket on the front for your Carlsberg and your peanuts, and just go around like
down to the beach,
hovering
hoist
around.
yourself out onto the sand.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely just
lie there
perfect.
For a bit, hoist yourself back in, off you go, back to the hotel. Yes,
absolutely amazing. Incredible.
So yeah, that would be yes, but that's the kind of equivalent where Jack would create something like
the silver mobility scooter.
Yeah, mobility max or something like that. Definitely
flying through the spaceways. But then it's the sheer. We're now talking about the Silver Surfer, but I guess they're so intrinsically linked. That's okay. But there's something so it's the sheer solemnity they give to it and gravitas.
Yeah, absolutely. They sell it to you, don't you?
Hang on. Stop.
It.
This is a great big bloke in a massive helmet standing on top of buildings.
I know, yeah.
And then a man on a surfboard flapping around next to him. This is the silliest thing ever. But somehow they managed to give it this. Genuinely, you're like, oh my God, the world really is going to end. It really feels like this. They can't win this one.
Absolutely. I think if you sprinkle a bit of Arthur C. Clarke science in there, it helps to sell it. Particles, solar systems, big bangs, a bit of Stephen, Hawking's talk. And that kind of sucks me into the whole reality of it, sort of thing. But you are right, Jemmy. You do get sucked into it. Because I didn't even question the idea that he's on a surfboard and that's a bit naff and it's 60s pop culture. I just kind of went with it, really. I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? You don't question it after a while.
There was a DC sort of parody of it called The Scarlet Skier. And it's like a man skiing through space who's bright red. That was a Keith Giffen, I think. Who's another brilliant writer who died recently. But it was, and when you see it like that, you go, oh, yeah, it's a really stupid idea.
yeah, definitely. Have you ever seen, not going off the subject too much, what does a comic book script look like? What would they do then? Would they write something for each panel?
I've seen like Alan Moore ones, because Alan Moore is like a genius and quite mad.
Yeah.
But he does like full paragraphs of description for every single panel. So it's
interesting.
He's obviously his artists are great as well, but he's telling them everything to draw. There's not a kind of like, just put in some action here, it's all. But I think the Stan Lee ones, were literally like a page of ideas and Jack would just do it all. And then Stan would sort of just fill in the words, I think, which is mad to me.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to write like that.
It's different depending on how different combinations of artists and writers work. So some of them are more collaborative in the first place, but sometimes it will be someone's written out a script and then it's given to an artist to do. It just depends how they're kind of working together. But yeah, the script will say something like, there are 6 panels on this page, top left panel, blah, this. They'll describe the action, they'll give you the dialogue, that sort of thing, just so the artist has got an impression of what they're trying to.
I think if you're Alan Moore and you're incredibly particular about, I know exactly what needs to be in every single panel, but I think some of them will just be like, perhaps not so much nowadays, because the writers are very held in high esteem, aren't they? And sometimes the artists literally live in another country or something, and you just send it. I think in the old days they literally used to post the scripts and then they post the art back.
Oh, that's nuts.
Bad, isn't it?
Also, was Dr. Manhattan sort of linked to Silver Surfer? Because they seem quite similar, don't they? That sort of God, existential, bit lost, contemplation.
I think he's definitely a nod to that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely got a similar vibe to it, 100%.
And bald.
Very bald, indeed, and glowing. Absolutely.
But Galactus's look, Dave, I noticed from one of the comics where he'd been drawn slightly different. One of the weirdest things about him is his helmet looks a bit like he's actually got a baseball cap in it. Have you noticed this? There's like a kind of baseball cap visor. I mean, what did you think? The first time he appears, of course, he sort of looks like he's wearing German lederhosen or something. He's got his lovely big legs. He likes to show his thighs off at first.
Certainly does.
And he's got a great
Roman
big G.
vibe.
He's got
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got a sort of Roman centurion vibe. Yeah, I was very much like, this is 1960s. Silver Surfer, I can go completely with that. Very timeless, very cool. Galactus, I was very much not half in, half out. It didn't ruin it for me, but I was very much like seeing it through the lens of the 1960s when it came out. Whereas Silver Surfer, I was just in with that. Not that I was a massive Silver Surfer before reading the comics you've given me, but I was very much like I'll go on now and I'll read other Silver Surfer stuff. It's interesting in the film. It's a girl. They've changed gender, haven't they?
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about Shalla Bal, I think, and we're going to put her in the list as well. But yeah, yes, Galactus, I think, as I was reading Galactus, so he has a lot of heralds, okay? So he has Silver Surfer first. One thing I thought quite funny was when I just think, and I don't mean this to sound crass in a homoerotic vibe even, I think they're beyond sexuality, but I as I read through Galactus's various heralds, I started to think that all of them are they're like rebound boyfriends after the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, every time he gets a new one, every time he gets a new herald, he describes them in terms of the last one. He was like, well, my last herald did this to me, so I've decided to go with someone who won't do that to me again. It's very rebound.
No one's going to hurt me again. And he, even when he gets Silver Surfer, he sort of says, there's a bit where he goes, I must destroy all the planets. And Silver Surfer's like, no, you must not destroy my planet. There is people here and art and culture. And he says, I don't want to, but I have to. Unless I had a herald, perhaps. He sort of drops, he hints heavily. I don't know if I had some sort of herald or something. And then as I read it, have you seen Phil Dunning's sitcom Smoggy Queens?
Oh, what's that one? No, I haven't seen that.
You know Phil Dunning? Lovely boy. He was in my Anna Man shows. He played my actual nephew, Phil Dunning, in my cheese and sex parties. And he'd just sit at the back with a wig on and makeup and just look really sort of bored. And occasionally,
I do remember him. Yeah, he had his own sitcom. Did he?
He's got a sitcom now. Yeah, it's on.
And what's that
on BBC? On BBC,
oh,
it's called Smoggy
Didn't
Queens.
know that at all. Did not know that.
And it's about drag queens in Middlesbrough, basically, just a gang of. Well, he's sort of a drag queen, and then, and their friends, kind of just going around life, and it's very funny. I've seen the first two. It's really funny. It's kind of quite heartfelt. Even though they're all arseholes to each other, it's quite vicious and catty, you know, but there's genuine, there's a bit in the first episode where there's just a poem read out as a sort of voiceover about sort of being yourself and, you know, and accepting who you are and stuff. And it's actually genuinely quite moving. But it's a lovely piece of work. But Mark Benton is in it and plays he's a character I think he's called Mother. When I worked in a bar in Canal Street, when I was in Manchester, when I was at uni, the Gay Village, not Gay Village. There was, I worked in a bar there for a while, and there's a guy called Mother who, it looks a little bit like Eunuch, actually. He had a lovely goatee and a lovely pate. And he'd go, Mother's here, and stuff like this, you know. He was tremendous fun. And everyone's sort of, you know, and he'd be very serious, not serious, but he'd make sure everyone was all right, you know, and, you know, sort of run the bar in a kind of very ordered, but was ultimately Mother. And then, you know, what's that song? I think it was Rah Rah Rasputin actually would come on, and that would be his cue to leap on the tables and start dancing around. And Mark Benson plays a similar sort of character who's a full-on drag queen. I think he's the only one you only see in makeup. So the others you all see in and out of makeup, but he's constantly full. But they just live in this suburban house in Middlesbrough, you know, but he's sort of Mother. Anyway, I don't know whether it's just timing, but as I was reading these comics, I started seeing Galactus as Mother, as Mark Benton's character.
Oh my Lord, that's got that vibe, isn't it?
I'm not trying to suggest that Mark Benton's character is kind of asexual in a way, in that he's gay, but it's sort of like, I don't know, there's he just wants everyone to be happy. Do you know what I mean? Just wants to look after his people.
Yeah.
His tribe kind of thing. And I feel like Galactus, I mean, he's got a lot of drag going on there with him. He's very or almost like a panto dame. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, God,
Yeah.
it's quite a purpley kind of outfit as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like a sort of, and it's that sort of Roman centurion campness as well, as you say. Do you know what I mean? That kind of
you could see there is nothing like a dame, you know.
Yeah, God, yeah, definitely. It looks like a He-Man. It was almost got like a He-Man Master of the Universe vibe.
Oh, we've said before that all the He-Man stuff we think comes from Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
that is
totally.
interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Anyway, that was
really.
I started seeing him as Galactus, big gal actus, big gal.
When he's choosing his heralds, he's almost as he wants them to be more and more psychotic, doesn't he, as he goes along? Do you know what I mean? Have absolutely no kind of guilt type of thing. He almost just wants. Well,
let's do, because I said let's make this a mega epic episode. We were maybe going to split it into two, but I think we can.
Yeah.
We've gone all over the shop, but that's fair because we are traveling the spaceways this week.
Absolutely.
You know, we're imbued with the power cosmic, and I went, sod it, let's do all the heralds. So we have actually read, I'm not sure how much the boys have read, but I've managed to get through an issue for all of them, and all these of course will be on the list at the bottom of this episode in the blurb. If you want to read along with us, please do. So should we take you through the heralds? We'll come back to the Silver Surfer and talk about him in the context of the Marvel universe after this, but first you get Silver Surfer. I think there is a forgotten one or a first one or something who comes in later who's kind of like the one we don't speak about. I think he really really hurt Galactus. And just the more I read it, the more I thought Galactus as an incredibly emotional human, not human, but whatever he is, Tarian. Do you know what I mean? He's got massive what's the word? Emotional dysregulation. He's just really like pained. Just really makes me laugh because obviously that's the opposite they're going for, is that he's this monolithic kind of serious creature that why hunger and all that. But I like the idea that he's actually very just wants to be loved.
I guess that's why these comics were great, wasn't it? Because it's like they're more like anti-heroes, these villains now, aren't they? Well, the villains are as 3D as Fantastic Four, aren't they? They're not just kind of like moustache twirling, kind of like nasty characters.
No,
they've got their own backstory.
Dr. Doom is one of the most beloved characters because he's so. It's why like Robert Downey Jr. is playing him, which is interesting how they're going to make that work. But he's very multifaceted.
Yeah, why is he multifaceted then? I don't know much about Dr. Doom. So
do we have time to talk about Dr. Doom?
Sorry, absolutely. Let's not sidestep too much.
It's exactly that. In a nutshell, it's that he does kind of start off as the revenge-driven mustache twirly type, or man in the iron mask type, I suppose. But he runs a country, and there's this idea that he's trying to help his people. And with an iron fist, there's an element that they all love him because he actually protects them from the outside world.
Oh, interesting.
So it's quite complicated. And for a long time, they can't, no one's even allowed to fight him because he has diplomatic immunity and all this kind of stuff. So, and also he has a lot of passion and respect. And for example, their daughter is Valeria. Sue and Reed have a daughter called Valeria who he helps bring into the world, because she nearly dies and he saves her.
Right, okay. Because in the trailer,
then he becomes a godfather. So yeah.
Really? How bizarre is that? Really?
Yeah. And also, him and Reed were best friends. Well, they weren't best friends, were they? Ben and Reed are best friends, but Doom was kind of his equal. Yeah. In college, so they have huge respect.
Did not know that. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
So when he was in college, he wasn't wearing the iron mask then, obviously.
No, he doesn't experiment using black magic and science.
As you do.
Everyone tells him is, you can't do this, you fool. And he says, stop trying to get in my way, and he does it and it explodes in his face. And then he wears an iron mask eventually to cover his face.
I can start to see why Robert Downey Jr. wants to do the character more now. Do you know what I mean? There is more going on there.
But again, on the surface, as with Galactus and Silver Surfer, Dr. Doom, a man in a big iron suit, is pretty, again, kind of naff, but really works.
Yeah, well,
as in, again, on paper, it probably seems a bit rubbish, possibly.
Well, for me, it was just the character in the front of the lunchbox. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really. It's like Silver Surfer was just like, t-shirts, sort of slackers would wear, getting stoned at home. I didn't really understand the characters,
Ooh.
but now
boils your blood, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Those
sort of
just wasters.
Those bloody wasters not
I know
understanding
you have to peer him through the window,
imagery.
bang on the window. Come on, lads, get up and get a bloody job.
Christ's sake, get some focus in your life. Watch a Tom Cruise movie. Get a dream.
Watch a Tom Cruise movie.
Get involved. Put some fuel in the bloody machine.
Turn those J's into A's.
Well said, indeed. Yeah, absolutely.
So there we go. So yes, so this is my thing that made me laugh, but possibly isn't as funny as I thought it was, that all these heralds are his rebound boyfriends. So obviously he has Silver Surfer first, who is like your perfect partner. You know what I mean? He can do no wrong. He's beautiful, sleek. He's an absolute gift to the universe, isn't he? Really, the Silver Surfer. And then, of course, and he promises eternity. He says, "I'll be your slave forever." I'm not sure how long that period is, by the way. We'll get to that because it's quite vague, isn't it? How? Because at first it sort of suggests he's been doing it for like 200 years or something, or thousands of years, but actually it's probably only about 6 months. I don't know.
I think the Zenlarians, the world he comes from, are supposed to be quite long lived. That's their kind of for how long.
And they perfected everything, haven't they? They're almost just living in this constant cycle of pleasure. And within that, ironically, he's bored and he's got nothing to we're back to the stoners in the lounge, aren't we? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not really aspiring to anything. And
he's more like you. He's the one going, come on, get up.
Let's get things going. That's why he decided. Well, also it's to protect his people, isn't it? I guess as well, because old Galactus is going to suck them up.
Exactly. Well, so anyway, we'll come back to what happens with Silver Surfer.
Yes, quite right.
So perfect boyfriend turns on Galactus because of Alicia Masters, the thing's blind girlfriend, who somehow touches his face, which presumably is just like touching a metal door handle or something, but like a frying pan. Yeah, there we go. It's like a shiny frying pan, and somehow gets from that he's the loneliest man she's ever met.
No, indeed, you're quite
There's nothing
right.
lonelier than a frying pan.
No, there isn't though, is there? Do you know what I mean? Left on its own in the cupboard.
If you were a frying pan man, you wouldn't have the happiest life. So she gets that, and she kind of falls in love with him, or at least thinks he's just incredible, because he accidentally falls through her window, of course, and lands on her bed.
Yes, I remember that. That's quite bizarre. And then bizarrely starts making him some food. They're around the kitchen table, aren't they?
There was something satisfying in that bit where he goes to eat it and he says that's a waste of energy to pick up and put it in your mouth. I'm just going to suck it all. Don't know. Whatever he does, he breaks it down into energy and then sucks it up. Oh, and he has that whole discussion with her where he says it doesn't matter if we're destroying everything because nothing's destroyed. It's just turned into something else.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting. I thought that was really interesting. God, that really is sociopathic, isn't it? We're all just energy guys. Just chill out. You just you'll turn up as a Kit Kat wrapper or something. Don't worry about it. That's all right. I didn't realise that. Okay, go for it.
Well, she has to convince him that no, there is life, there is art and beauty. That's what he says. The word that he'd heard but never really understood: beauty. You've had that moment, haven't you, Dave? You had a similar moment.
Gosh, yeah, absolutely. Watching a swan gracefully move across a river or a sunset, just stopping everything and just gazing upon it with beauty. No, but jokes aside, really, you do have those moments, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
I sometimes, when with the kids, we go to a park or a national trust or a big, beautiful bit of countryside, and sometimes I say to them, is that beautiful to you? Do you see like a vista that we're looking at?
Yes, hills
and they just sort of go, no, not really, and they don't. I don't know. I wonder at what point you start to go, oh no, that is beautiful, because it's still just stuff. Technically it's no more beautiful than this a bowl of fruit in front of me, or this packet of Barocca.
It's a bizarre one.
Why is it? But it's interesting. At what point are we just sort of like having to pretend something's beautiful? Do you know what I mean? Or like not pretend, but having to like agree between us. A sunset is beautiful. A poo is not.
It's like you.
I mean, sometimes though, it depends on It depends on the size and shape of the poo. I've seen some pretty good ones, to be fair.
Yeah, you can sometimes look between your thighs and think, well, that's not bad. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't see myself as an artist. And you feel a bit guilty, but you think, well, that's...
Do you think Galactus has these moments? Do you think he's ever looked between his thighs and gone, oh, that's not bad?
Oh, I'm sure. Between Silver Surfer chats.
Yeah. If it talks like Chris Finch, is like, oh.
Oh, look at that.
I just realised Sue Clinch, my Anna Mann character, has got Chris Finch's voice.
Definitely similarities there, isn't there? It's got to be said. Definitely.
Oh. Does he poo? I don't know.
Oh, I would have thought so. Energy forces. I don't know. I think that's the ultimate energy source, isn't it? When you do a poo afterwards, type thing, you suck out all the goodness.
I think in Jack Kirby's mind, he was just a big man.
Yeah.
A cosmic, godlike big man.
Yeah.
But I think the later writers that said, oh, no, he's actually, this force beyond good and evil, and he's kind of, appears differently to all races and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you can see
poo, he sort of expels cosmic cubes rather than poo, I imagine.
Yeah, something a bit more sexier than just sort of like, sausages coming out of you sort of thing. More like sort of like Scientology crystals coming out you behind.
Do you know what would be a funny thing that turned out if that's how planets are actually made? So my rabbits, Luna and Ned, luckily still happily rabbiting about, they do two types of poo. One, the charming little balls you see, which are, they are beautiful, but they also do things, I think they're called cenotropes, which is just like a big chunk of like loads of shit all mixed together. It's really
cenotropes. God, that sounds impressive.
They eat that.
Oh my lord!
But they have to eat it because they don't
have to eat it.
Yeah, because they have like extra stomachs or something. So if they don't eat that back, how did I get to this point? My point is, what if he's eating planets but shitting out stars? Is what I was.
So he's basically like a massive cosmic rabbit, is what we're saying.
Yeah, God, it sounds like a David Bowie concept
maybe he's
album.
making. Yeah, what was that, Dave? Sorry.
Sounds like a David Bowie concept album or something, doesn't it? Yeah.
Very David Bowie. He's creating galaxies. That's how galaxies are formed.
Yeah, God, it's definitely got an element to it. And I suppose if you put a magnifying glass on a poo, it's going to have micro. Is it going to be micro elements in it? Worlds within the.
And that's what we are.
Yeah, I guess so. We are the SHIT, aren't we? Simple as that.
So much has been said. So let's carry on with this very thin.
Yeah, please do. Let's move on.
Boyfriend idea that they're all his boyfriends and girlfriends. Well, so so he's had Silver Surfer. He's the perfect boyfriend. That first.
Oh, gotcha. The big old crush.
There's maybe one before. I think he's called the Forgotten One.
It's called the Fallen One.
The Fallen One.
Okay. Right? Yeah.
And he's never happy. He's very judgmental, isn't he? He's never. I've got friends like this. They just can't find the right person, because they're too picky.
Absolutely.
But I think that he's too picky because he gets Silver Surfer, and Silver Surfer is perfect. You could not have a better boyfriend, right, or girlfriend, as we know. As a leash.
The surfer dumps him.
Surfer dumps him.
Yeah.
Turns on everything, all their vows, everything he promised. He just suddenly meets this girl who says his frying pan face is the loneliest thing she's ever felt. And that's enough for him to turn around and go, no, it's over, buddy. And he attacks his master / in this context, sugar daddy, I guess. So then after that, Silver Surfer's next one, he properly has a sort of, he's like, right, well, if he's no good, then I'm just going to literally get a robot. In the same way, I guess, after you've been with your perfect partner, you then go with someone who's just really boring.
Rebound time.
So that's Airwalker, who we've talked about before. Who's literally, Dave, his power is to walk around. He can walk anywhere. But what we found amusing was the idea is he walking at a normal speed? In which case it would still take him a long time to get there. But anyway.
It would do.
So he becomes his new herald, who's literally a robot, and apparently he has to listen to Galactus' stories for years, which presumably about how about the Silver Surfer, the same way, like, when you get with your
Oh my
Your
lord!
next
What a
girlfriend or
nightmare.
boyfriend after the big one, you're sort of like just keep talking about them all the time.
Oh,
So
they're a big fan of this TV show. Oh, they're like that. They had a similar pair of jeans like that. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Norrin Raj used to say this a lot, actually. God, but he's literally a robot. He gets destroyed, and I think he's glad of it. Then he gets Firelord, who is a big fiery man. He's the sports jock, is the way I'm seeing. He's kind of like, well, actually, I want a guy who's like, real. He knows he's a bit of a dick. He knows he's a bit arrogant, but he's a fiery jock. He's captain of the team.
That was the Thor one, wasn't it? Thor was involved with him.
That's the one in Thor.
Yeah.
So any thoughts on this guy? Did we have any stats or thoughts? Stats and thoughts.
Absolutely, there's a jingle there.
I've got some stats on Firelord if we want to.
Oh yeah, let's hear him.
He is 6'4", apparently.
There we go.
Pretty
Very
tall.
nice.
Pretty. What was Silver
kilograms.
Surfer? Is he 6'2", I'm guessing?
Silver Surfer is. Hold the line, please, caller, while I bring up the stat for that one. Oh, 6'4". Yeah. So
they're both 6'4".
Oh, interesting.
So he really is. Yeah, he's trying to recreate that original love.
Yeah, he's got a type, basically. He's got a type. He likes them tall.
6'4", yeah, absolutely.
Tall, glowing, flying.
Yeah.
He's got a big stick with fire on it. Has he got fire on each end? A bit like a cheerleader's pom-pom, isn't it?
Yes, it's like a sort of flaming earbud.
Oh my lord! There, get rid of the old middle-aged man hair inside the old. That's what happens to me when I go to the Turkish hairdressers. Indeed.
Oh yeah, that's what it's for. Yeah, but that's what it's for. But obviously, Galactus has got massive ears, so that's literally
perfect. Hygiene, inner hygiene, and helping to find planets to suck up. Multitasking.
Right. So basically, a silver man on a surfboard. He left me. He broke my heart. What's next? All right, a fiery man with some fiery earbuds.
Absolutely.
According to this, one of Firelord's unusual features is that his hair is tinged with cosmic flame.
Lovely touch.
Just tinged, like highlights.
Just tinged. I mean, I'm looking at a drawing of him. It looks like it's all flame to me, to be honest. I think tinged is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Again, it is getting heavily homoerotic, all this stuff. I'm sorry, but I don't mean that to sound crass or, in any way.
Well, it's one of those things. The more hyper-masculine you get, you always become more homoerotic. You go the other way, don't you? That pendulum, if it goes too far.
I know you do, Dave.
I know, I always do. I'm always having to keep myself.
This is why you got to keep your figure slim, because if you bulk up.
Oh, God, yeah. Flipping heck. Get very confused.
But yes, I think this metaphor does stand.
Yeah.
And Firelord, his history was what? He was one of the Xandorians, I believe. The Nova.
Yeah, his real name's Pyreus Krill. Pyreus is a bit on the nose for Firelord, I think, but there we go. He was part of the Nova Corps.
Flamey Kevin.
Flamey Kevin.
Flamey Kevin, there you go.
He was part of the Nova Corps, and he was in the Nova Corps with Airwalker. So he knew Airwalker from back in the day. They served together.
So literally, Galactus was going out with his brother.
Yeah, effectively.
Essentially, and his brother died. He went, all right, I'll go out with the other one then.
Yeah, well, Firelord pursued Galactus because he abducted Airwalker, effectively.
Oh.
But Airwalker was dead by the time Firelord found Galactus.
Uh-huh.
And Galactus was impressed with him chasing him, so turned him into a herald. Yeah.
Great. And what?
And suppressed all his memories of Airwalker.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, proper gaslighting going on here.
Yeah,
hell of a lot of gaslighting in there. It's got to be said.
He's not a good.
No, I never hung around with your mate Airwalker. What are you talking about? I don't know. I've never seen him before.
Yeah, he's not.
It's got a real soap opera vibe to all this, isn't it? It's like it's got the sort of mythology element, but also it's got an EastEnders vibe. It's a real mix of stuff going on.
Yeah, God, I wish I knew more EastEnders characters because we could relate these to different.
Oh God, yeah, the Square. I'm sure Kevin Feige's thinking about that, a Marvel soap opera.
Who would Galactus
the next
be?
Disney Plus?
Would Galactus be Ange?
Yes, he would definitely own the Queen Vic. God,
Galactus would probably be Peggy Mitchell, wouldn't he? Barbara Windsor's character.
Yes, no, absolutely. Who would be the Mitchell brothers then? Who would be those two?
Firelord
and Airwalker.
Yeah, I think that would work absolutely perfectly.
So
Silver Surfer. Who would that be?
Dirty Dan. He's the ultimate.
Absolutely. Who'll be Frank?
Although he's a goodie.
Yeah.
Who's the real goodie in EastEnders? Was there ever a goodie? Would he Silver
What
Surfer?
about
Arthur?
Oh, Arthur. God, yeah, absolutely.
Arthur
Fowler.
Arthur Fowler.
Silver Surfer.
You are quite right. And what about
we're mixing our eras here.
Shop? We are mixing our eras in a big way. Who's the one who owns the fish and chip shop? Who's been there since day one, almost like Truman Burbank? Not Kathy. Who's Kathy? Ian Beale. Who would Ian Beale be?
Oh well, I mean, we haven't got through them all yet. We need to crack on.
Yeah, quite right.
These heralds, and we'll work out. Was Kathy right? And I don't mean to sound pleasant, but Kathy,
she also talked a bit like that, didn't she?
Was that Kathy?
Oh, massively. Yeah.
Vibe. And there's also Phyllis from Coronation Street.
Also talk like that. You're person.
What? Who are all these people that talk like that?
It's when they get angry, usually, isn't it? It's usually on the Christmas Day finale. You leave him alone.
Kath ran the calf, didn't she? And her name was
she did. Absolutely.
Yeah, Kath's calf.
She was gorgeous. I'm just going to put this out there.
Yeah, she was a stunning blonde.
I quite crushed on her when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah, she definitely was nice. Yeah, in the old 80s.
So that's Firelord. Do you know what happens to Firelord later? We see him fighting Thor, don't we, initially? I got to be honest, that comic I can remember nothing about.
Ultimately, they
all sort of come back. So Galactus he's an absolute shagger, to be honest. He's got so many of these heralds, hasn't he? He works his way through them.
And eventually Firelord gets swapped for an Asgardian construct called the Destroyer. So I think that's Thor provides Galactus in exchange for releasing Firelord from being a herald. Thor gives him the Destroyer, which
is basically like a giant dildo.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. That is homoerotic then, isn't it? You're not even like tiptoeing around that one.
It's not even got a brain. It's not even got a brain.
It's just a sort of magical suit of armor.
I don't know.
Like in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, basically. It's just giving him one of them.
I fear I'm slightly regretting this whole rebound metaphor that I've created. Let's crack on. So after the walking dildo, he meets who?
Terrax, the tamer we talked about. We've talked about Terrax before. Terrax is basically, he just has a big axe. He's just got a big axe.
Big axe, but he's also a nasty dictator type. And I think this was like, when you get with a nasty person, you're like, I know they're horrible. Yeah. I know they're bad. I know they're the opposite of the Silver Surfer almost.
They're going to get to work for me.
So first he's had a couple of robots, and then he's tried to have like a replacement Silver Surfer in Firelord, and then he's gone the opposite and gone, right, I don't want this sort of hunky moral guy. I want a horrible dictator with weird hair.
Full on bastard mode.
Yes.
Do these heralds kind of represent their eras as well? Because I mean, some of them are from the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, so they represent the different decades.
Terrax is from the 80s, so I guess that
a yuppie.
Bit of a yuppie. Also kind of related.
Well, actually, that does kind of work because ultimately Terrax rebels against Galactus because he wants the power for his own selfish purposes. Feels very 80s.
It has got an 80s vibe, isn't it? And then
he's very me. He's very there is no society.
Michael Douglas Wall Street vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about me, isn't it? It's a Thatcher era. Just look after number one. Everything else look after itself.
I think he might be your Frank Butcher.
Oh God, yeah, it goes without saying.
Maybe. He's got a big axe. It goes without saying. But he, Terrax, So that is what happens to us all. If I don't know how many lovers you two have had, how many partners you've had in your life, but sometimes you do get with someone they're bad. They're going to do this to you. They're going to cheat on you, and they do. But in that moment, you're just sucked in. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it adds to the allure, doesn't it? It adds to the danger and the darkness of it all. It's all Russian roulette with the lights off.
They've got a big axe. They can
absolutely. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm out of control. Even more sexually electric. The eel in me is alive, indeed.
Yeah, it never ended well. The last person I got with that had a big axe.
No, it never does.
It's a massive red flag. In fact, after that, do we get? Oh no! Before we get Redshift, who's the most nothing of them all, we have Nova. But not
the lady.
The lady. So he's, he's okay. He's experimenting a little bit here.
Absolutely.
Frankie Ray. I think this is often, sometimes when you get with someone who's kind of a bit silly and la la la, hey.
Oh God, yeah, the pixie vibe.
Pixie vibe, and you can tell he's probably a bit like, oh yeah, but you're not as cool as Silver Surfer, are you? Do you know what I mean?
It's all back to Silver Surfer, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? None of them have ever gotten a T-shirt or a lunchbox. It was always boyfriend number one, wasn't it?
So Frankie Ray, do you have any info? It was boyfriend number. He's impossible to replace. He's just the perfect guy. Do you have anything on Frankie Ray, Nick?
Yes, Frankie Ray was created by Roy Thomas and George Perez back in Fantastic Four 164. We looked at Fantastic Four 244, which is where she becomes Nova, and that's the sort of John Byrne era. She's 5'4", 58 kilograms, and as Nova has gold skin. But she also has, she already has like Human Torch style flame powers before she becomes a herald, which is partly why she becomes a herald in the first place, because Galactus is depleted at this point, so he can't use a lot of power to create a new herald. And she basically says, oh, I've already got this kind of flame power, so you might as well make me a herald. Her reason for becoming a herald seems to be, I'm a bit bored of the Human Torch, and it might be quite nice to just go around the universe a bit.
He's scraping the barrel a little bit here, isn't he? He's kind of just, it is a bit like end of the night, you'll do.
Yeah, there's that sort of vibe to it.
A bit lonely.
He's lonely.
Like she says, go on then. He says, yeah, all right. And that's basically how she becomes a herald.
It's not a lasting relationship again. It's not going to give him what he wants. Galactus was dying at this point, and Reed and all the other superheroes, Reed convinces all the other superheroes to help him bring Galactus to life. And I don't think there's justification.
No, this is one of those things that they always do in comics that it seems it's a difficult argument to get around. It's the sort of thing they do in Batman a lot, where Batman always saves the Joker's life. And you feel like after the 7th or 8th time you've done that, and he's then gone on and killed another 10,000 people. It's
enabling, isn't it, I think, after a while?
Is that really keeping to your moral code to save that one life so he can go on and keep taking more?
And also, if you're doing that, Reed, there's probably millions of people around the planet every second who are dying across the universe. Are you trying to save all of them?
Yeah.
Quite right. Well said.
Yeah. You're putting him above the others. You're making him elite, if anything.
I guess in Galactus's case, their argument is, but it's not Galactus's fault that he does this. It's his nature. He can't help being someone.
Yeah, they keep going into that, don't they? It's like the chaos of the universe. He's just part of it.
So there is a kind of suggestion that the universe needs him, right? That otherwise, I guess he's like the shark in the ocean.
Yeah, the lion. If you put your hand through the cage, don't expect to keep your hand, sort of thing, isn't it? It's just nature.
But also, if without the lion or the great white, all the fish and antelopes would get out of control.
Well, I was thinking that in the sense that, he's got to go around, sucking the energy out of these planets. If not, there'd be too many. But that's what the Big Bang's about. Those planets are going to naturally come to an end anyway, aren't they? They'll do their cycle. They don't need him going around the straw sucking them up.
Well, and presumably, if the universe is infinite, you can't have too many planets.
Yeah.
Good point.
Very true. Yeah, it's all about room, isn't it? It's just endless.
I think creatively, I think the problem is Jack Kirby is a genius, but also quite, I was going to say mad, not mad, but just thinking on a level to which most people don't, and manages to create ideas which are kind of bad, not bad, but, kind of silly, make them amazing. And then other people take that up and try and sort of explain it or make it real. Yeah. And it's like, no, it's just mad. Don't even worry about it. Stop trying to make it make sense, because you're making it sillier in some
I get what you mean. It's trying to sustain an idea that is like sort of brilliant, but doesn't hold up to intense scrutiny.
I mean, also when they were writing those comics, this was only 50 issues in.
Yeah.
They didn't know if this was going to last another month.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely get that vibe, don't you? Definitely.
Let alone. So he's just like, what about this? A giant bloke with a big G, and he's like a big drag queen, and he's beautiful.
Yeah. And back in those days, stuff did get. I mean, the original X-Men run sort of cancelled. They went into reprint mode instead of new stuff because it wasn't really selling.
Oh, really?
in the 50s, they were getting cancelled things would last one issue and stuff, weren't they? So it was just...
And then just dropped them. Who was the original X-Men then, right at the beginning? It
was Stanley and Jack Kirby, but it got to about issue 60 odd or so, and it wasn't really selling. So they just started reprinting old X-Men stories, and it wasn't until they rebooted it with the kind of giant size, all new X-Men that brought in Wolverine and Storm and
interesting.
That it became popular again. But there was a period where X-Men wasn't that popular.
It was never. I don't think it was ever popular, was it? Until
the mid-70s
and so on.
But
yeah, originally it was Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel, Iceman, and Beast. If you must know, David.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that was the original gang. Okay,
yeah. Excellent. So it'll be interesting to see with the X-Men movies that they're going to do, whether they're going to go back to that. But it was more like they were all white, all sort of all American. They were still, it still had the kind of vibe that they were persecuted and prejudiced against, but they weren't this international team like in the that we know and love.
And the first group, was it the 60s then? The first X-Men group? And was it the yellow suit, or was that later on?
Yellow and blue suits. They all kind of
yellow and blue suits. Got interesting. That's interesting.
Or basically with Marvel, you have like every 10, 15 years a kind of creative boost, I guess, don't you? But the original one, all those characters came out in the first 3 years. Thor, Iron Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Daredevil, Spider-Man, all in that like 3-4 year window. And then it wasn't until the mid 70s that you started to get Punisher and Wolverine and stuff like that. So that was like the next gang of characters. But
which goes with the era, doesn't it? That 70s anti-hero kind of Travis Bickle vibe, isn't it? The whole vigilante feel. Yeah, definitely more cynical.
I started reading the book I Am the Law about how Judge Dredd predicted police brutality.
Oh wow.
It's so good. I'm only 2 chapters in, but it oh my god, it's really mind-blowing as a comics reader, but also just understanding the world and the police and how politics uses law and order to get whatever they want, and how how synonymous it is, and how pre the 60s apparently law and order wasn't even really a thing anyone particularly cared about or voted for. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like,
oh wow, that sounds
it's really, really good. Anyway, we must crack on. So we've done Nova. So that was Nova, bless her. Bit of a nothingy character, I feel. And then eventually she leaves him, and I think on the cover it says finally. I think this is what actually made me see this whole like relationship rebound story of it's a love story. That's what I'm saying. Galactus is a love story. It's more of a sort of Don Juan, isn't it? A man going through the cosmos, finding different lovers. But it says something like finally she leaves him on the front cover. Is that what it says? Finally she turns on Galactus. And it's almost like, when someone's in a horrible relationship with an awful person, and it feels a bit like, finally, Frankie, you've managed to get away from
moved on.
All her mates have been telling her for years to get rid of that Galactus.
I know.
I mean, look at the size of him, for God's sake.
That pig.
Imagine his poos.
God almighty, indeed. The neck.
I don't want to go in. I feel like I've already been quite rude here, but you do have to think about, if he is a fully giant man, he does have a gigantic penis that's hovering over New York for quite.
God, flipping heck.
Especially that first issue. There's no surety. Surety, is that the word? There's no guarantee that he's wearing underpants. There's just a kind of loincloth.
He's definitely going commando, I think.
He's 100% going.
Right, so that means a lot of people are just looking
skyscrapers. You know what I mean?
They're looking up and seeing right up his
You
arse.
don't need that, do you? Hanging testicles, just leaving a silhouette of your face type of thing. You don't need that.
Yeah, at least they don't clang like Colossus's.
Oh yeah, that's
indeed quite true.
Balls, yeah, but they'd be more like meteorites hitting each other.
They would do, wouldn't they? Flipping heck.
It'd be funny if you did see him naked. I wonder have they ever drawn Galactus naked? I assume not.
Have any of the characters been left naked? I don't think
someone probably has.
I know, thanks to the internet. There's some fan art there.
If he proportionately just has a very average or smaller than average penis, that would be very funny. I don't know why. Because you
work out psychology, wouldn't it? That would make absolute sense of his psychology.
Right,
small penis. They'd be like, oh, right, that'd be the twist of the whole thing. Yeah, we sorted you out now. Complete character.
That is what the ultimate nullifier does.
Yeah, it probably
it shows
is.
everyone is Willy.
Because that was a sudden end, wasn't he? He just turned up. Johnny comes back with like this little contraption with a button.
Yeah.
And he's completely freaked out by it. Oh, no. That's, yeah, okay.
It's like one of those dog leads you get. You know, the ones where
I know.
It, like shoots out a lead kind of thing. Or a big tape measure. I do like the bit where Johnny gets taken by the Watcher to get it. And he comes back.
That's very cool. He goes to different worlds and all that.
Yeah.
He goes through particle streams. It's very cool.
And when he comes back, it's very Cthulhu-like, you know, H.P. Lovecraft, where he's a bit like, there are worlds, we're just so small, we're like ants, we're nothing, and all this.
Yeah, it's very.
And it takes him a while to
deal with that.
And then the Watcher says, it'll be all right in a couple of minutes, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Because the human mind isn't built to process that. Once he'll
forget about
he'll be driving cars and chasing chicks again. So
absolutely chasing chicks. That's what you need to do.
But I like it. Yeah, I like it's Johnny Storm, the teenager, who's seen the Infinite Universe, and it's broken his brain. That's quite a. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to Reed seeing it, he would sort of be able to understand it more in an old school scientist, but like, oh my god, it's so big, you know. Whereas he's like.
It's more of a teenage perspective, isn't it? It's sort of going with it.
Until the next issue when he just goes off to college.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's fine, joins the football club. The football club. Is this post 2001: A Space Odyssey?
It's definitely Arthur C. Clarke influence, isn't it? I think definitely in the 60s.
That's where he's got. Oh my god, it's full of stars, isn't it?
Yeah, 2001 was 1969. So.
Right, well remembered.
Oh, we're running out of time. Do we have Dave? Can we keep you till like 5:10? Do you think?
Yeah, I can do 5:10. That's fine. Okay. I'm just about to do that. That's right, cool.
So we're almost there. So after Frankie Ray, Galactus really hits the booze. He really does something. It's not his finest hour. He gets with probably the worst person anyone has ever got with, the worst herald you can imagine, which is Morg.
Oh, indeed, yes.
Oh, what a brute. Have you got any stats on Morg there?
Yeah, Morg the Executioner. Mm-hmm. I mean, it feels very much like he's channeling his Terax the Tamer phase again, because he's another something the something with a big axe. It's very similar vibes.
And he's from a kind of medieval alien world where they're still kind of in Henry VIII time, but they've all got like kind of crusty mud sort of skin. Like mud men.
Yeah, and there's the vibe is very much he says something along the lines of, I don't really care about saving my planet, I just care about saving me.
Wow, there you go, back to the 80s.
Yeah.
But more to absolute nihilist, because at least Terax had a lovely beard and Terax had a bit of style, and I don't know if he loved his planet, but he kind of, he liked to be a ruler, whereas Morg just hates.
Yeah, just hates in general.
He's
6'6".
Whoa.
And this can't be right. Apparently 861 kilograms.
861. That's 8 of me.
That's heavy.
That's more than 8 of me. That's about 9 of me.
It's interesting you talk about the height and the weight, because I was thinking, God, what nerd has come up with this? But if you want continuity, though, in the comic, you would need that, wouldn't you? I just suddenly thought, do you know what I mean? You do need that.
We should probably quote, in danger of plagiarism, we get all our facts from Marvel fandom, and someone is putting these facts there. We just find it quite fun, really, don't we?
No, but the thing is, it's a case whereby you'd actually need that to actually make the comic, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? You need Silver Surfer's actual height to be consistent, because, I mean, even between the frames, it wouldn't be the same. Do you know what I mean? You need that continuity, so I guess it makes sense. You'd actually need that, making it. Before
all the internet, they did create these books of just
Bibles,
and so the illustrators would have to, and this is how their cape moves, and this is how long their gloves are, or whatever, and all that sort of stuff.
Like style guides type things.
Which you would need, wouldn't you? Definitely.
Morg's another axe guy. I don't think he does much other than battle the Silver Surfer a bit, but I like him as a character, and I don't like him, but I think he's sufficiently unpleasant.
Yeah.
For it to be a real villain, ugh.
Well, you can tell he's a villain because all of the former heralds team up to kill him.
so literally all of Galactus's ex-boyfriends and girlfriends have got together to get rid of this guy. This is an intervention.
It is an intervention.
This is a real intervention. Okay, so after that, he plays it safe. He goes as bland as you possibly could go, and he gets a guy called Red Shift. This appears in Galactus the Devourer, a miniseries I'd never heard of, which is just fine. It's quite dull. I wouldn't bother reading it. It's the era where Alicia Masters becomes Silver Surfer's actual girlfriend and has some sort of weird suit that somehow makes her fly and gives her sight, but also she can't touch anything with it. So she's freaking out, which is kind of interesting, I guess, because she's like, yeah, I can see you, but I like touching frying pans and stuff, you know? So Red Shift turns up. He's called Red Shift.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible name, isn't it? It sounds like, you know, the shit shift at a bar, the Red Shift. Oh, God, the bloody Red Shift. Putting on the Red Shift next week. But apparently he explains a red shift is light moving away from you in the galaxy or something.
God, that's quite cool, isn't it?
I think it's to do as well. Redshift is the effect you get as you approach the speed of light. And
that's not a good name, though, is it? That's like he's just gone. The writer's just found any phrase from a science book. He's opened Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, that'll do.
Redshift, and his thing is just that he's got two swords. He's just got two swords.
What more do you need?
No one's trying at that point. And then finally, Galactus gets a herald called Stardust, whose real name is Lamba Zero. Yeah. And Stardust is an interesting one because they are non-binary. I don't think that even exists in their form because they are beings, ethereal beings, who, when the rest of the universe solidified, they decided to remain as non-solid creatures just flying through space.
So what era are we in now then? When would have that character
been
around?
We're in the 2000s now.
Yeah, so that very much represents the era, isn't it? We're going into a more sort of gender-aware kind of decade.
And maybe. High, sort of more heavy science, you know, the idea that...
Yeah, definitely.
Stardust is a colony mind. And one of the issues I read, Stardust ended up finding their world was destroyed by Galactus. They became Galactus Herald, and then found some survivors from the world and sucked them into themselves to be part of them. Meanwhile, Silver Surfer at this point, big shock, had gone back to Galactus. So there's a period where he renounces everything and realizes, and he's like, no, you are the only one I really love, so to speak. And they get back together again. And he says, yes, I will be your herald again, and I will help find you planets again. I can't remember why exactly. I have read those comics, but basically it just goes full circle. He's back with Galactus. This is after 50 years nearly, I guess. And so Stardust is actually, it's awkward because Galactus has got Stardust at that point as his herald. But then Silver Surfer turns up and says, I want you back. Poor old Stardust kicked out, left to roam space. So Stardust finds the survivors of her race, sucks them into her so they can become part of her. I say her, they. I thought it was her, but Stardust is a they. And then they find Galactus, and Galactus says, sorry, I'm back with the Silver Surfer. This is all, please don't make this worse than it has to. And so Stardust says, I'll give you all of my race to eat, basically. If you'll just take me back.
That is very, very, very needy.
Very needy.
That's indeed. Not the way to build a relationship, is it?
No, you don't want to give those signs out.
You do. It's got to be equal. And he says, all right, fine. And then in the worst possible way, it's almost like a guy going, yep, right, I've got my wife and you can be my mistress. He says, you can be my second herald then.
A herald on the side.
Herald on the side. They get a spin-off plot.
That story ends where Stardust says, does confirm Galactus is the only creature I have ever loved.
Blimey, there you go.
So there we go. That's the saga of Galactus and the Silver Surfer and all his heralds. Finally, the Silver Surfer in the new movie is going to be Shalla Bal. Shalla Bal, which sounds like a sort of Shawaddy Waddy song, doesn't it?
In the new
Shalla
movie,
Bal on the weekend. What's that?
So in the new movie, who's going to be what? The Herald in the new movie?
The Herald is the Silver Surfer, but it's not Norrin Rad. It's Shalla Bal.
Who is Shalla Bal then? Was it Shalla Bal in the comics?
His girlfriend in the comics. You know, the one he has to leave when he becomes a Herald.
Oh, okay. Right, okay. And she becomes some kind of ambassador in one of the comics,
yeah,
so
Empress. She becomes
an Empress. Oh, it's her. Right, okay.
So I thought that was quite fun because in the initial 60s comics, she is just your classic damsel in distress, beautiful pop art images of her going, but I love him kind of thing, who has to stay behind while Silver Surfer becomes the Herald for Galactus to save his planet of Zenlar. Then I think this is an example of later writers actually making it better as opposed to worse. Because when he goes back to Zenlar and it's sort of gets destroyed but rebuilt because he gave her some of the power cosmic.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, passed it on to her before moving on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she, but what's interesting, he's like, comes back and goes, I'm here now. You know, we can get married. And she says, well, no, I'm the Empress. I've got to look after all my people. I can't. I also like the fact she looked a bit like sort of Dorian from Birds of a Feather. I thought she had that kind of vibe going on. Or like a character from Abigail's Party. She looked a bit like, you know, red evening dress, short black hair and a red evening dress. Yeah, so that was quite fun. I thought it gave her more character than a lot of the sort of girlfriends who are often just, save me, my hero.
Yeah, I liked that, and I liked that his response to it is then a sort of petulant, well, fine, I'll just go back and wander space then, shall I? Fine.
He has a real
he's quite taken out. It's like, I thought we were going to hang out tonight. No, I've got my ambassador stuff to do. It's all right, fair enough, all right, okay.
Yeah, you rule your planet, fine.
Yeah, see you later.
I'll get on my surfboard and hang around in the meteorites.
Yeah, and so.
Yeah, and she says you were right because we did have everything and we didn't have... We didn't have challenges or problems, And then he goes, so we don't want you to fix everything because we want these problems and we want to fix them. And he's like, but she's also like, but also please do protect us from the Skrulls.
Yeah,
indeed.
And then off he goes. And he ends up having quite a few love affairs after that with Mantis from the Guardians of the Galaxy and a few others.
Oh, right. Okay.
Finally, so did you? We'll put them in the list in a couple of seconds. But first, did you look at the Dan Slott one just out of interest? The very recent Silver Surfer.
Yeah, I had to look through that one. That's the Dave. That was the
Dave
one
Edwards
that starts.
Dave, did you freeze then, Dave?
I don't think I did. No, I don't think so. I'm not sure.
You just went. You went like a lizard then.
A lizard? Goodness me!
So completely still. I genuinely thought.
Like a meerkat, just sort of like a predator's nearby type of thing.
I've never seen anyone be more
absolutely frozen. Yeah, I wasn't sure which Silver Surfer is this one that I was asked to read, or
it's the one that opens with the two girls in the lighthouse talking with their father and making a wish upon a star.
Oh no, I didn't. I haven't read that one. Sorry, no, I didn't get that one.
Well, we don't really have time to talk about it, but it's Dan Slott, who's a modern writer from the.
Oh, okay. Now, I'd be interested to look at that. I'll look at that.
You'd really like that, Dave. It's very deliberately very Doctor Who. So he's.
Oh, is it? Okay, very cool.
And it is literally the Silver Surfer getting a sort of Rose Tyler like assistant.
Oh, okay, very cool. No, I didn't come across it. And when did it come out? So this isn't 60s. This is
2014, something like that.
Oh, right. Very cool. Okay.
But the artwork is Mike Aldred, who's a really brilliant artist, who's a modern artist. Well, he's been around for 30 years probably or more, but his style is like a 60s Silver Age.
It's very
cool.
Kirby-esque.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But it's modern style, but, homage to that era.
Right,
well, we did it. We did it, gang. We covered the whole...
All the Heralds done. Tick, tick, tick.
We probably didn't do enough about Silver Surfer, but I think that's fine. We get it, don't we? Can we just quickly, before we go, we got to put these in an order, Dave. Now, obviously, a lot of these characters, Dave, you've never heard of. So how much we'll be able to put them in order, I don't know. I'm going to try and share it with you all. Here we go. This is the part the listeners like the most, which is, of course,
this is the sort of document admin part that's really exciting to listen to on a podcast.
Can you see that, David?
Let's have a look. ICAT. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so first, now we've all got stuff to do. It's bank holiday. We've got some car cleaning and such to do. So let's not spend too long on this. So Big Daddy G himself, Galactus, where does he go? Do we think he's in the top 10?
I do. I really like Galactus.
Yeah,
You do?
I thought so. Definitely. Absolutely.
Okay, well, Nick, I'm going to let you...
Colossus.
Yeah, Dave, some of these you might not know. Magic is at number 5. That's Colossus's sister. She's great. What are we thinking, boys?
I was thinking, I was thinking probably below Electra.
Below Electra.
So only
that makes sense. Absolutely, yeah. I think that makes absolute sense.
Let's do that. Do we prefer Electra to Galactus? Electra's is, we like her, but she's just a big. She's not big. He's big. She's a ninja. But really, she's a almost silent ninja.
Quite cool, though.
Okay, fine. I'm not sure about that, but I'm going to go with it. Okay, it's your choice. Okay, Galactus in at number 10. But that could change in a second when we put in the Silver Surfer. Where does he go? My conclusion on Silver Surfer, I think it's very cool, very fun, very Jack Kirby. But in all honesty, I'm not sure if I like him. I find him quite boring. And
really? I was really quite taken, really.
I like the worlds he travels to, but I find him quite kind of, as a character, he's quite tedious and moral in a sort of, I'm not obsessed with him, but the image of him, like you say, on an album cover, a T-shirt, yeah, stop the press. But I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to you, boys. I don't know if I want to join in that.
What were you thinking, Dave?
I was really impressed. I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, do you know what I mean? But I found this all very fascinating and educational, don't get me wrong. But I was really taken by him. I thought we had a Swamp Thing vibe. I could see Dr. Manhattan origins in there. Do you know what I mean? I thought I was actually really taken. It's definitely grabbed my interest for the new film. I was taken by it. Do you know what I mean? I could see that Stan Lee
top 5, Dave.
David. I would say at least top 10. I was really impressed.
Would you say above Captain America?
Do you know what? That was what was going through my head. I was thinking, because Captain America, very moralistic, very obvious character, I find. And I thought, well, this is a breath of fresh air. So personally, from my perspective, I would definitely say above Captain America.
Would we put him above the Punisher? I think that's the big question.
No, I think Punisher's got a bit more going on there, I think.
Okay. Would we put him above the Kingpin and Bullseye?
I would have him above Bullseye, not above Kingpin.
Yeah,
I think
that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. This is important work. I know there's
absolutely. We can go
dreadful
to bed
stuff going on in the world. We all need to work together, and this kind of important work is what we need right now. Okay, now we've got a slew of heralds to get through. Oh, let's see if we can do it super quick. So, who was first? It was the Firelord. Very, very nothing here, if I'm honest. Firelord.
Yeah. I mean, I think most of these are pretty low.
Yeah.
To be honest, they're all probably around the same area. I think maybe below Magic 2 for pretty much all of them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That is damning.
Yeah, I just don't.
Firelord. Okay. Firelord above. Yeah, okay. Firelord can go there. That's fine. Who was the next one? Nova. Frankie Ray. There's probably more history there for her, but she was pretty tedious, right?
Yeah, I think they're about the same place.
I'm gonna put her
absolutely underneath the
I'm gonna put her above Firelord.
Yeah. And we had
then
Morg.
Who was left?
Morg. There's not really much to Morg, the Executioner.
No, but a good villain.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't a good villain. He was just unpleasant, wasn't
he? Yeah.
It was like in Game of Thrones when they get someone who's just horrible.
Yeah.
Like the Mountain. Should we put him... Right, let's put him below Firelord. Should we just shove them all together?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Redshift, though. Redshift is so bad. I'm going to put Redshift.
Redshift's low.
Right at the bottom.
Might be... Yeah.
He's not as bad as King Bedlam or Agent X. I'm going to put him one below Ant-Man, Eric O'Grady.
Yeah.
This is exciting stuff for you, Dave. I know that.
No, not at all. I'm just looking at all the names. It's
I know there's so many, isn't there?
List, isn't it? Yeah.
Stardust a bit more interesting. The gender thing, the colony of lights or whatever they're meant to be.
It's a good concept. I like the idea of it.
I'm going to put her just below Dracula and above Magic 2.
Okay.
Again, forgive me, I said her.
A them.
A them. And then finally, Shalla Bal. Shalla Bal. I like Shalla Bal.
I did. I really liked that issue with her being Empress. I just thought, just in that one issue, she was quite an interesting character.
I'd put her above the Ancient One. Should we put her below Ant-Man Scott Lang?
Yeah.
Okay, we did it.
But old Ant-Man's pretty low, isn't he, old Scott Lang? Blimey.
It is. Yeah, this is purely comics, though, Dave. The movies...
Oh, very true. Okay,
the movies can sort of sway us if the movies then made the comics better.
Yeah, very true.
To be honest, there's the fact that when you think of him, you just think of Paul Rudd. You know what I mean? There wasn't really a character there, Paul Rudd.
Right, okay, fair enough.
Was himself, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah. Scott Lang's got some quite fun stories, though. I think that's what's kept him slightly higher than some of the others.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. Hank Pym, who Michael Douglas plays, Nick is not a fan of. He's a bad guy, Dave.
Gambit's low as well, isn't he? 44.
Yeah, that is pretty low for Gambit, isn't it? But
yeah,
Gambit,
that is actually.
When you read those comics, though, Gambit's so silly.
Mm.
And he's a bit sketchy at times as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're not meant to be morally judging, though, remember?
Yeah.
But yeah. Great, we did it. We are now looking at 124 characters.
Wowzers.
The full list, Dave, when it's completed, will be 1,084.
Blimey, flipping heck.
We're more than a tenth of the way through.
That's not bad.
Dear God. Disney have got a lot of films in front of them, haven't they? Thank God.
Dave, yes, they do. So I'm just aware that you need to go. But thank you so much for your time, Dave. It was lovely to have you on. An epic pod needs an epic man. And Dave, do you have anything to plug? You had your own podcast you wanted to talk about briefly.
Oh, dear.
Where we can find it?
Random Movie Generator. Anywhere you can find it. I do it with David Earl, Brian Gittings. We do film reviews each week. And just pop it into Spotify or whatnot, or Apple or whatever, and it's there to be found. No, thanks for that. Definitely.
Lovely.
I've really enjoyed this. Brilliant stuff.
Well, can we get you back one day, do you think, Dave?
Oh, yeah, God, yeah. Please do. It's been quite an education. I really enjoyed reading the comics massively.
We'll send you the list and you can have a little look and pick one.
Yeah, definitely. Please do.
Next week, I'm not 100% sure who we're going to be talking to. Possibly, we are talking to an actual Marvel Comics 90s legend creator.
Wow, who's that then? Who's that?
I'm going to keep it a surprise for now in case he says no. But no, I have reached out to him and he said he's up for it. But then I need to.
Exciting! Well, I'll be looking for that then on the old Spotify.
Nick, I might get his email and get you to email him.
Yeah,
I get a bit scared around those things. I'm going to pretend Nick's like my hotshot producer. You know, I mean,
everyone needs one.
Going out.
Everyone needs a Nick
episode.
Yeah, happy to pretend.
It's pretty cool. He's someone whose work we read a lot, wasn't he, Nick?
Yeah.
When we were,
that sounds really exciting. I look forward to that. So, I'll check that out.
Yes, yeah, and then we're going to keep this format where we're going to keep bringing guests on. Nick, do you want to just hit us with some admin quickly before we go?
It's everyone's favorite part of the show. It's the admin. So you can find us on Instagram at abombtozzzax. If you like the podcast and would like to support us, we have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/abombtozzzax, you can sign up there where you'll be able to get extra bonus mini episodes and maybe a chance to influence who we talk about in either the main ep or a mini episode as well. You can email us at abombtozzzax@gmail.com, and if you're not already, you can follow the both of us on Instagram. You can follow at Colin Holt Comedy, if I said that right.
That's right. Yeah.
Colin Holt Comedy for Colin Holt. It does what it says there, and you can follow me at that baldy fella.
Lovely. Do you have an Instagram handle, Dave?
I do. Oh, Random Movie Generator. Yes. Random Movie Generator. Once again, the podcast. I'm not a person. I'm a podcast now. Far more productive to be that.
We all are now.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed this a lot. I'm slightly regretting describing the Destroyer as a big dildo, but no regrets, right?
No, not at all.
It's just has regrets when he's eating those planets.
Not at all. He just burps and carries on. Okay. Absolutely. It's all about defecating and moving on.
Well, that's on that bombshell. Shaflang from me and Nick and our special guest Dave Edwards. See you soon.
Thank you, people. Thank you. It's been education. Take care, guys. Cheers. Bye.
You have been listening to abombtozzzax, my favorite Marvel character, with me, Colin Holt, and my friends Dan Snellgrove, Nick Kirk, and Jamie Firth. There they go! Please remember to support us at patreon.com/abombtozzzax.